The Nexari Dominion's first assessment of humanity was, like most of their judgments, deeply flawed. Commander Rihanna Patel stood at the observation deck of the United Earth Defense Force headquarters, watching the holographic display of yet another, accidental, incursion into human space. The crystalline ships of the Nexari fleet gleamed against the backdrop of stars, their formations precise and predatory. "They're testing our response times again," Lieutenant James O'Connor reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. "Third time this month." Rihanna nodded, her dark eyes tracking the movement patterns she'd grown frustratingly familiar with over the past 2 years. The Nexari had appeared shortly after humanity achieved faster-than-light travel, presenting themselves as mentors to the young species. Their technological gifts came with strings attached, exclusive trading rights, military, advisory positions, and careful monitoring of human advancement. "What's different this time, Lieutenant?" she asked, noting a subtle variation in their approach vector. "They're running silent, Commander. No diplomatic broadcasts, no false distress signals. Just." He paused, frowning at his readings. "They're simply there." The Nexari's crystalline vessels had appeared at the edge of the Arcturus colony's sensor range, their presence a clear violation of the supposedly mutual defense treaties. But humanity had learned patience in the decades since first contact. They had learned to smile and bow and document every transgression with meticulous care. "Maintain surveillance distance," Rihanna ordered, her voice steadied despite the anger simmering beneath. "Record everything. Standard protocol." The standard protocol was a facade, much like the primitive sensor systems the Nexari believed they were evading. Behind the outdated technology, the aliens could lay a web of quantum sensors and artificial intelligence systems that tracked their every move. Each incursion, each patronizing diplomatic exchange, each accidental weapons discharge near human settlements, all of it fed into vast data centers buried beneath the surface of Mars. Dr. Neela Sharma's voice came through the command center's comm system. "Commander, you'll want to see this. Lab 7. Immediately." In the underground research facility, Dr. Sharma's normally composed features were tight with concern. The holographic display before her showed the molecular structure of a Nexari shield generator, technology they had, graciously, shared with humanity. "We've been blind," Neela said without preamble. "The shield generators they gave us? They're not just defensive systems. They're monitoring devices. Every piece of Nexari technology we've integrated into our infrastructure has been feeding them data." Rihanna's hands clenched behind her back. "How much do they know?" "Less than they think." A tight smile crossed Neela's face. "We suspected something like this might happen. Every piece of their technology has been quarantined in isolated systems. The data they're receiving is carefully curated, showing exactly what we want them to see." The implications were clear. The Nexari believed they were dealing with a naive species, easily manipulated and monitored. They had no idea that humanity had been playing a long game of its own. "The quantum defense grid?" Rihanna asked. "Completely invisible to their systems. As far as they know, we're still struggling with basic particle shields." Neela brought up another display, showing the true extent of Earth's defensive capabilities. "We've reversed-engineered every piece of technology they've given us, improved upon it, and developed countermeasures. All while maintaining the appearance of technological dependence." A signal chimed on Rihanna's comm unit. The Nexari fleet had moved closer to Arcturus, their formation shifting into what they thought was an innocent patrol pattern. But humanity had broken their encryption months ago. The fleet's true orders were clear: assess the colony's defenses for future integration. "How long until the new defense systems are ready?" Rihanna asked, watching the alien ships prowl at the edges of their space. "Final testing phase. 2 months at most." Neela's voice hardened. "We'll be ready when they make their move." Rihanna nodded, her decision made. Continue the deception. Let them think their plan is working. She turned to leave, then paused. And Neela? Thank you for helping us see through their lies. As she returned to the command center, Rihanna reflected on humanity's journey since first contact. The Nexari had expected to find another primitive species to subjugate through false friendship and technological dependency. Instead, they had awakened humanity's most primal instinct, survival. The stars gleamed coldly on the tactical display, and somewhere out there, the Nexari continued their game of predator and prey, unaware that their intended quarry had grown fangs of its own. Humanity's patience was vast, but not endless. When the time came to show their true strength, the galaxy would learn that the most dangerous predators were those that learned to hide in plain sight. Dr. Marcus Blackwood stood in the heart of Project Prometheus, Earth's most closely guarded secret. The massive underground facility beneath the Olympus Mons crater on Mars housed humanity's true technological achievements, ones that would have made their Nexari mentors choke on their own condescension. Run the simulation again, he instructed the quantum AI system they developed in secret. The holographic display came alive, showing the devastating efficiency of their new defensive grid. What the Nexari couldn't know, was that humanity had surpassed their crystalline technology years ago. Colonel Reina Santos, requesting entry, announced the facility's security system. Marcus smiled. The head of Earth's covert military development program never missed a major breakthrough. The colonel strode in, her weathered face bearing the focused expression that had become her trademark. Tell me you have good news, Doctor. The Nexari are getting bolder by the day. Marcus gestured to the simulation still running before them. Watch this. He input a series of commands, and the display shifted to show a Nexari warship attempting to engage its supposedly superior weapons systems. The simulation demonstrated how the new quantum defense grid would not only stop their attacks but redirect their energy back at them. They think their shield technology is decades ahead of ours, Marcus explained. But we've discovered something they never considered: the quantum resonance patterns in their crystalline ships can be turned against them. Their own weapons will become their weakness. Reina's eyes narrowed as she studied the data. How long have they been planning this integration of theirs? Based on the encrypted communications we've intercepted? Years. They've been cataloging our weaknesses, marking targets, preparing for what they think will be an easy conquest. Marcus brought up another display, showing the network of hidden defense installations humanity had built throughout their territory. They still believe we're using the outdated systems they gave us. They have no idea we can see through their deceptions. The colonel's hand rested on the hilt of her ceremonial sword, a reminder of humanity's warrior heritage. And the civilian evacuation protocols? In place but hidden. We've disguised them as routine colonial infrastructure updates. If the Nexari strike, we can get our people to safety before they realize what's happening. Marcus paused, bringing up the latest intelligence reports. There's something else you need to see. The display showed a massive Nexari fleet gathering at the edge of their known space. Far larger than any training exercise would require. They're preparing for something big, Reina observed, her voice tight with controlled anger. How many ships? Over 300. But that's not the concerning part. Marcus highlighted several unusual energy signatures. They're bringing terraforming equipment. The kind that could remake a planet's atmosphere in days. Or render it uninhabitable, Reina finished grimly. They're not planning on just conquering us. They want to remake our worlds in their image. The implications hung heavy in the air. The Nexari's benevolent guidance had been a lie from the start. They saw humanity as nothing more than an obstacle to be removed, their worlds to be claimed and transformed. The new defense grid will be ready within weeks, Marcus assured her. But there's one more thing you need to know. He accessed a heavily encrypted file, revealing the project he'd been working on in secret. We've developed something they never imagined possible. The hologram showed a new type of ship, unlike anything humanity had previously revealed. Its design incorporated principles the Nexari believed were centuries beyond human understanding. We reversed-engineered their technology, yes, Marcus explained, pride evident in his voice. But then we took it further. This ship can match their best vessels in combat, but it has something they don't, the ability to phase shift through their crystal-based weapons entirely. Reyna studied the design with growing appreciation. How many can we build? We've been constructing them in secret for months. 50 are ready, another 100 nearly complete. All hidden in quantum-shielded shipyards the Nexari can't detect. Marcus's expression hardened. When they make their move, they'll find out just how badly they underestimated us. The colonel nodded slowly, her mind already calculating strategies. Keep pushing the production. I want every ship ready within the month. And Marcus? She turned to face him directly. Thank you. For helping give humanity the teeth it needs. As Reyna left, Marcus returned to his work, fine-tuning systems that would protect humanity's future. The Nexari thought they were dealing with students eager to learn at their feet. Soon they would discover they had been nurturing warriors instead, ones who had learned far more than their teachers intended. In orbit above Mars, another Nexari observation ship passed by, its sensors probing uselessly against humanity's deceptions. Below, in the hidden heart of human resistance, the final preparations for survival, or victory, continued in silence. Admiral Diana Reeves watched the distress signal replay for the 13th time, her face illuminated by the holographic display of Hope Colony's final moments. The settlement of 50,000 civilians had been humanity's most distant outpost, a symbol of their expanding presence in the galaxy. Now it was gone, destroyed in what the Nexari claimed was a tragic accident. Play it again, she ordered, her voice steady despite the rage building in her chest. The colony's governor, Thomas Reeves, her brother, appeared once more in the flickering hologram. This is Hope Colony declaring an emergency. Nexari ships have entered orbit, claiming a quarantine protocol. His voice remained professional even as alarms blared in the background. They're lying. Their weapons are charged. We've detected terraforming equipment powering up. This isn't an inspection, it's an invasion. To anyone who receives this, remember us. Remember what they. The transmission cut off in a burst of static. Sensor data showed the moment the Nexari ships opened fire, their crystalline weapons reducing the colony's shield generators to atoms. The quarantine had been a test, a probe of humanity's defenses disguised as a medical emergency. Lieutenant Commander Hassan Rahman entered the command center, his usual diplomatic composure strained. Admiral, we've received the Nexari's official statement. They claim their ships detected a dangerous pathogen and were forced to implement emergency containment procedures. Containment procedures that just happen to include atmospheric processors capable of rendering the entire planet uninhabitable? Diana's question cut through the air like a blade. How many survived? Hassan's expression tightened. 312. The colony's quantum bunkers protected them long enough for evacuation ships to arrive. The Nexari, they're demanding we turn over the survivors for decontamination. Diana rose from her chair, moving to the tactical display that showed the true extent of the Nexari fleet's movements. Their ships were gathering at strategic points throughout human space, positioning themselves for what they thought would be a swift conquest. Send word to Commander Patel and Colonel Santos. Implementation of Protocol Omega begins now. She paused, allowing herself one moment of grief for her brother. And get me a direct line to the Nexari High Command. It's time they learned the cost of their arrogance. In the quantum-shielded command bunker beneath Mars, Dr. Blackwood and his team worked frantically to bring the defense grid online ahead of schedule. The destruction of Hope Colony had accelerated their timeline, but the sight of refugees arriving from the devastated world had given their efforts new urgency. Fleet status? Diana demanded as she strode into the facility hours later. All ships are in position, hidden by our phase shift technology, Marcus reported. The Nexari still think their sensors are malfunctioning. They have no idea we can see through their crystalline cloaking systems. Diana nodded, reviewing the deployment of humanity's secret armada. 50 advanced warships waited in the shadows, their crews trained for this moment. Another 100 support vessels carried weapons the Nexari couldn't begin to comprehend. The survivors? She asked, her voice softening slightly. Safe. We've relocated them to secure facilities. Their testimonies. Marcus hesitated. Admiral, they report the Nexari were systematic. This wasn't a rushed quarantine. They executed a prepared plan, complete with terraforming equipment calibrated specifically for human worlds. How many other colonies are they targeting? Based on their fleet movements? At least 7. They're positioning ships near every major human settlement, using various pretexts to justify their presence. Marcus brought up a map showing the Nexari's true deployment pattern. They think they're being subtle. Diana's laugh held no humor. Subtlety. From a species that believes turning planets to crystal is an acceptable method of expansion. She turned to Hassan. Is the quantum communication array ready? Yes, Admiral. We can broadcast to every human settlement simultaneously, completely bypassing Nexari monitoring systems. Good. Diana straightened, her decision made. Send the activation codes to all hidden defense installations. I want every ship, every weapon, every system ready to reveal itself on my command. She paused, looking at the images of Hope Colony's destruction one final time. The Nexari believe they're dealing with primitive students, grateful for their guidance. It's time they learned what humanity does to those who threaten our people. Throughout human space, preparations accelerated. In hidden shipyards and underground bases, weapons powered up and crews took their stations. The refugees from Hope Colony were given sanctuary, their stories strengthening humanity's resolve. The Nexari continued their positioning, unaware that their prey had become the predator. Diana recorded a final message to be broadcast when the time came. To all human colonies and military installations, the deception ends today. The Nexari killed our people, destroyed our homes, and planned our extinction. They believe themselves superior, untouchable in their crystalline ships. Today, we show them how wrong they are. Today, humanity stands unveiled. The countdown to revelation had begun. In the darkness between the stars, humanity's hidden fleet waited, their weapons primed, their crews ready. The Nexari's lesson in humility was about to begin. Ambassador Julian Torres walked into the Nexari High Council chamber for what he knew would be the last diplomatic meeting between their species. The crystalline architecture soared overhead, designed to intimidate visitors with its grandeur. After decades of practicing careful humility, he allowed himself a small smile. The Nexari's love of theatrical displays would make this moment all the more satisfying. High Commander Vrax stood at the center of the chamber, his crystalline form refracting light in patterns meant to convey authority. Ambassador, we understand your distress over the Hope Colony incident, but surely you see the necessity of our actions. The quarantine protocols. Let's dispense with the lies, Commander. Julian's voice cut through the chamber, carrying none of the subservient tone the Nexari had come to expect. We know there was no pathogen. We know there was no quarantine. And we know exactly what you're planning for our other colonies. Murmurs rippled through the assembled Nexari officials. Vrax's crystalline features shifted to a pattern indicating mild amusement. Ambassador, your species' tendency toward emotional outbursts is precisely why you need our guidance. Perhaps if Hope Colony had properly implemented our security protocols. You mean your monitoring systems? The ones designed to spy on our people? Julian activated a holographic display, showing the true nature of every piece of Nexari assistance technology. We've known about your surveillance from the beginning. We've known about everything. The amusement in Vrax's patterns faltered slightly. These accusations are baseless. Your primitive understanding of our technology. Primitive? Julian laughed, the sound echoing through the chamber. Let me show you primitive, Commander. He pressed a small device on his wrist, and suddenly the chamber's own systems came alive with data, the complete archive of every Nexary plan, every hidden communication, every secret directive regarding humanity's planned subjugation. Impossible, one of the Nexary counselors whispered. Their systems are isolated. Contained. We broke your encryption years ago, Julian explained, his voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. Your crystalline quantum networks? We surpassed that technology before you even revealed it to us. Every gift you gave us, we improved upon. Every lesson you taught, we had already mastered. High Commander Vrax's form pulsed with angry light. If you think these theatrical displays will. Admiral Reeves, if you would? Julian spoke into the air. Across Nexary space, humanity's hidden fleet suddenly appeared, their advanced ships materializing from what the Nexary had thought was empty void. Every crystalline defense platform, every monitoring station, every military installation found itself targeted by weapons far beyond what humanity was supposed to possess. In the council chamber, the holographic displays showed the true extent of human technological advancement. Their quantum phase shift drives, their enhanced shield systems, their ability to turn the Nexary's own crystalline technology against them, all of it laid bare. We are not your students, Julian declared, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's collective patience. We are not your subjects. And we are certainly not your victims. We have watched you position your ships around our colonies. We have intercepted your orders for planetary reconstruction. And we have prepared accordingly. The chamber erupted into chaos as reports flooded in. Human ships appearing impossible close to Nexary homeworlds. Defense systems failing as their own crystalline technology turned against them. Hidden human installations revealing themselves across the galaxy, each more advanced than anything the Nexary had believed possible. This is your only warning, Julian continued, standing tall before the increasingly agitated council. Remove your ships from human space. Withdraw your advisors. End your plans for conquest. Or we will show you exactly how much we've learned while playing the role of humble students. Vrax's crystalline form vibrated with rage. You dare threaten the Nexary Dominion? We could destroy your worlds with a single command. Try it. Julian's smile was cold. Every weapon you possess, we have studied. Every strategy you know, we have countered. The moment you move against any human world, you will learn the true cost of underestimating us. As if to emphasize his point, alarms began blaring throughout the Nexary capital. Their supposedly impenetrable planetary shields flickered as human ships demonstrated their ability to phase straight through them. Defense platforms turned themselves off, their crystalline cores responding to human commands. We could have been allies, Julian said, his voice tinged with genuine regret. We could have learned from each other, grown together. Instead, you chose domination. You chose to see our patience as weakness, our willingness to learn as submission. That was your mistake. He turned to leave the chamber, then paused. The survivors of Hope Colony send a message, remember this day. Remember what happens when you mistake restraint for weakness. You have 24 hours to withdraw your forces. After that, humanity will take steps to ensure our security. Whether that means the end of the Nexary Dominion depends entirely on your next choice. As Julian walked out of the chamber, the sounds of panic and disbelief followed him. The Nexary's carefully constructed illusion of superiority was shattering, and with it, their understanding of the species they had thought to subjugate. The reconstruction of Hope Colony began exactly 1 month after humanity's revelation of power. Admiral Diana Reeves stood on the newly terraformed surface, watching as advanced human ships deployed technology that the Nexari had never imagined possible. Where crystalline weapons had scarred the Earth, life was returning. Not as a pale imitation of what was lost, but as something stronger. The soil regeneration is ahead of schedule, Dr. Marcus Blackwood reported, consulting his quantum tablet. The survivors will be able to return home within weeks, not months as we initially estimated. Diana watched a group of children planting trees in the distance, their laughter carrying on the wind. And the Nexari? Any movement along the borders? None. Their fleet remains within their territory, exactly as agreed. Marcus smiled slightly. Though our sensors detect they're frantically trying to upgrade their defenses. Rather pointless, since we can see everything they're doing. The aftermath of humanity's display of power had reshaped galactic politics in ways few could have predicted. The Nexari Dominion, faced with the full extent of human technological superiority, had chosen survival over pride. Their withdrawal from human space had been swift and total. Commander Rihanna Patel approached, her uniform bearing the new insignia of the Human Defense Force. "Admiral, we've received an interesting request from the Nexari Diplomatic Corps. They're asking for teachers." Diana raised an eyebrow. "Teachers?" "Yes. It seems their younger generation is fascinated by how we managed to surpass their technology while appearing primitive. They want to learn our methods of innovation." Rihanna's expression held a hint of irony. Apparently, being proven completely wrong about a species' capabilities leads to some serious cultural self-reflection. The request was surprising but not unwelcome. In the weeks following the confrontation, humanity had demonstrated that their advancement hadn't come at the cost of their principles. They had not sought revenge for Hope Colony. Instead, they had established clear boundaries and offered a path forward, one based on genuine exchange rather than deception. "Have you seen the latest reports from the Nexari homeworld?" Marcus asked, bringing up a holographic display. "Their entire educational system is being reformed. They're questioning everything about their society's assumptions of superiority." Diana nodded, remembering her brother's last message. He would have appreciated the irony. The Nexari wanted to remake our worlds in their image. Instead, they're choosing to remake themselves. Ambassador Julian Torres had become something of a legend among both species. His confrontation in the Nexari High Council chamber had been recorded and shared throughout their civilization. The sight of a primitive human revealing decades of careful preparation had shattered the Nexari's worldview. "We've received requests from 3 other species for diplomatic relations," Rihanna reported. Apparently, watching the mighty Nexari Dominion back down has inspired some courage among their former vassals. The galaxy was changing. The revelation of humanity's true capabilities had disrupted centuries of Nexari dominance, creating opportunities for genuine cooperation between species. The survivors of Hope Colony had been the first to suggest establishing a new interstellar academy, one where different species could learn from each other as equals. "Colonel Santos's report just came in," Marcus added. "The joint research initiative with the reformed Nexari Science Council is showing promising results. Turns out when they're not trying to conquer us, they actually have some interesting ideas about crystal matrix computing." Diana watched as more ships arrived, bringing supplies and settlers back to their home. The destroyed colony was becoming a symbol not of tragedy, but of resilience. Of humanity's capacity to face aggression with preparation rather than fear, to answer deception with truth rather than vengeance. "We could have destroyed them," she mused. "When we revealed our power, we could have ended the Nexari Dominion completely. And become everything they feared we were?" Rihanna shook her head. "This is better. They're learning, changing. And so are we." The sun was setting on Hope Colony, casting long shadows across the renewed land. In orbit, human ships maintained their vigilant watch, their advanced technology no longer hidden but serving as a reminder: peace through strength, progress through understanding, and power tempered by wisdom. Start processing the teaching applications, Diana decided. But make sure they understand our terms. No more deceptions, no more games of superiority. If they want to learn from us, they'll do it as equals. As night fell on the colony, lights began to shine from newly constructed homes. Humanity had faced its test and emerged stronger, not just in technology but in spirit. They had proven that true power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to know when not to. The galaxy would remember this turning point not as the day humanity revealed its strength, but as the day when strength yielded to understanding, when vengeance gave way to vision, and when the future began to change for all species.